Today I'm talking to Mkululi Nompumza. He's an alumna of our faculty who completed the BEd Intermediate Phase program, as well as an honours degree in Education Development and Democracy. So MK, thank you for chatting to me today.
Thank you very much for having me, Elise.
The first question I have is just for a little bit of background. I want to ask you, why did you decide to study education and specifically at Stellenbosch University?
Right, so I've always had an unwavering passion for education, and I've come to the realization that at that stage, I couldn't even call it a passion. I couldn't term it passion, but as early as grade 4, after school, I was leading a pack of my fellow learners to my house and would turn my lounge into a classroom where I was obviously teaching. I took that right into high school, tutoring students on a Saturday, and realized that at the end of my matric year, when I had, chosen to study education, I did so even against, naysayers that were my own teachers. Some of them who were saying that you could have chosen to go into a more lucrative career, but nonetheless, I forged through, and SU was one of 2 institutions that I'd applied to, and the main reason why I chose our Faculty of Education is because of the structure of the program. I felt that the structure of the program was really quite vast from what I saw at that stage, and I thought, why not? And I don't regret the decision either.
I'm very glad. So before you joined Stellenbosch University, what were some of your expectations in terms of language and culture? Did you ever feel like it was an Afrikaans culture? Did you ever feel like you had to speak or understand Afrikaans in lectures or on campus to know what was going on?
What I found was that even before I came to SU, family members and fellow learners at school, and even some of my own friends, were telling me that SU is a very Afrikaans institution and that you must be aware of that. But for me, I couldn't comprehend that, because from what was presented in the faculty calendar and all the material that I'd read prior to registering, I could see that I would be able to study in English. So I think even though those conversations existed around how Stellenbosch University was very Afrikaans and that I would need to know Afrikaans to succeed, I forged against that, came through, and what I found on campus was that I was able to learn in English. However, I will not, overlook the fact that it is, or what I experienced was, a culture of Afrikaans. There was indeed a culture of Afrikaans, let it be in residence and so forth, but in my own classes, I was still able to learn in English, which is my medium of instruction. Yes, Afrikaans was used in some of the lectures, but I was still able to learn in my medium of instruction, which is English.
Okay, fantastic. And you were quite involved in the faculty. You were the chairperson of the Education Student Committee at one point, among other things. So how do you think that, or being involved in other things other than your academic program, how did that help you grow as an individual?
I think it definitely added a lot, not only to my own personal development, but also to my professional development. Being a part of the co-curriculum space, being involved in courses that were offered by Frederick van Zyl Institute, and being a part of the process of conceptualizing a course that was offered within our own faculty, I think it definitely added to my professional development, because it gave me experiential learning that I would not get within the formal lecture environment. So I definitely don't regret the decision to get involved, and it's something that I truly would recommend for any student, not just BEd students, but any student that's in university. I'd say be bold and get involved in the co-curriculum, because that really does add not only to personal, but also professional development, I've found. And it taught me a lot about people skills, definitely. Not that my degree didn't teach me that, but I learned a lot about people in leading, I would say.
Nice. Okay, so after your undergraduate degree, like I said, you completed your honours degree in Education Development and Democracy. What did that entail, and what was the topic of your research?
Right, I have often said that my BEd honours journey has been the most fruitful one. Not that my BEd journey was not fruitful, but my BEdHons journey was the most fruitful learning journey, I think. And the main reason why is I found that in the BEdHons Educational Development and Democracy, I was offered a unique opportunity to delve into the philosophy of knowledge, number one, to really get to grips with what knowledge is, how I've come to know what I know, how people in general have come to know what they know. It gave me an opportunity to tap into my own teacher identity, my own teacher philosophy, and how that plays out in the classroom. Most importantly, it gave me an opportunity as well to become what I now know as a practitioner who is always inquiring their practice. And that is quite important in terms of what then you do with your learners and the classroom space. What was also quite profound about it is, in particular, my educational development and democracy degree gives you an opportunity to look at the economics of education, not just the economics of education, but also the sociology of education, which gives you a thorough understanding of who the child that comes into your class is. How do you make sure that that child's life world is reflected in the classroom, is reflected in the curriculum? Then to top things all off, Professor Naran Davids then gives you a vast understanding of what diversity is, what diversity management is within schools, and also the crises that are in educational leadership and educational management, as well as in the governance of education. And her module in particular on educational leadership and management is what gave rise to my own mini thesis, which focused on teachers as leaders, but specifically the enactment of leadership by novice female teachers. And that was a response to the crisis which we have, I think, in education, where majority of the teaching profession is made up of females, yet they are in the minority of its leadership. And I really found that for me, it was a great opportunity to investigate how novice female teachers are being treated and how they are enacting leadership in hopes of inspiring young women as the future leaders of our education system, I think.
Sure, it sounds very interesting. So would you say that you would recommend doing an honors degree after your BEd program to other students?
I would definitely recommend it. I was in a fortunate position of being the recruitment coordinator for our faculty, and that gave me an opportunity to literally go around the country recruiting teachers into postgrad. So we're looking at recruitment for the BEd, but also postgrad recruitment for our faculty. And in so doing, I often told my own journey of the BEdHons so as to inspire others to also take up that step. And I think for any teacher, I really would recommend that step. It gives you a vast outlook on your practice, and not just the practice, but
Coming back now to the BEd program itself, I want to ask you, did you find that the theory component prepared you for practice teaching? So I know in your second, third, and fourth year, you would go out into a school and do a term of teaching. How did that theory prepare you for the practical side? And what was that experience like going into a school as a student?
The faculty's BEd program is unique in the sense that the first year truly takes you from behind the desk to in front of the board. And in so doing, it does prepare you for the second, third, and final year practice teaching. And what I do like about the second, third, and final year practice teaching periods is that it is 9 weeks in the year, which instead of having all of that, perhaps happen in 1 year, it's constantly giving you exposure to the school context, but also allowing you an opportunity to apply the theory that you've learned within that practical space. And one thing that I often encourage people to do, which I did within my own BEd, is to diversify the school context in which you're going into. Most importantly, choose schools that are different to your own schooling context. If you are going to choose for your practical periods, the schooling kind of the same schooling context that you had come from, I think you are depriving yourself of an opportunity to really learn and to really get to grips with what it is that you are going into. So I found that diversifying my school context truly contributed to my professional development, but also I found that the theory that we are, exposed to, as well as the structure of our practical learning and practice teaching, allows you opportunities to not only see that theory in action, but to apply your own knowledge into practice.
Yeah, fantastic. I have one last question before we end our conversation, and that is just, why would you encourage other people to study education, and also specifically at Stellenbosch?
I would encourage people to study education because I feel as though as a person, once you've been through your own schooling, and even after being through your own schooling, there's this thing that wants to see yourself moving from behind that desk to standing in front of the class. And I firstly encourage those who have that interest from a very young age to speak to their teachers about it. Not only their own teachers, but speak to other teachers, get the experience. And once you've, come to that very important decision to become a teacher, I say, go for it. I say, go for it, because it's not just about a degree that will prepare you to teach or prepare you for the school context. I find that teaching gives you a box of multiple skills that you can pull from once you're done. I think if there's one thing that is so great about studying an education degree, is that you have a great skill of working with people. It's a skill that I don't think, many degrees would offer you, but that an education degree offers you. And that skill of working with people is one that I find that you won't only use in the classroom, but should you decide to go and do something that is outside of the school or classroom context, that skill will still come through. And I've just highlighted one of many. And then why I would recommend Stellenbosch University's Faculty of Education, because we are literally the best. And I say we are literally the best because there is no faculty that will offer you the high level of scholars or academics that we have in our faculty. Our academics are incredible, and they will also give you not only the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and value base that you need, but they will inspire you to do even more. So I think that is my recommendation.
Great recommendation.